Hello everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com, and did you know that there's a challenge going on over at 3 Girl Jam? As of right now when I'm filming this video, which is a couple days before I'm going to have this ready to post, but as of right now, there's not anybody that's entered right now, so you should really head over there. There's some great prizes being offered, and I think you'll find some things that you'll enjoy. So I am going to enter. Now, I'm not entering for prizes because I'm on the design team, but I just needed to make a card, and I decided I would do it for this challenge. So I need a bunch of stuff. First of all, I need the sketch, and I will post that on my blog. If you don't know what that sketch is, it will be posted on my blog, and it will also be on the 3 Girl Jam Challenge blog at 3girljamchallenge.blogspot.com. And I'm taking some creative license with this sketch a bit. So let's just jump right in and get started, because this has quite a few steps in it. So I'm going to need several things. First of all, I pulled out these Prima flowers, and they're just individual flowers, and you can layer them however you want. So I pulled those out. I have Glimmer Mist from Tattered Angels, and this is the Tiger Lily. I have 3 Girl Jam in Harvest Orange and Sunflower Yellow or Gold. So I'm going to just set those aside. Now, I was looking for a sentiment. This card is for somebody special who's retiring, and who actually, that's why I'm in such a hurry to get this done, because I'm going to work with her for the last time tomorrow. And so I wanted to go through my sentiments. So if you remember, recently I did a video on my stamp organization, and I went through and I came to the back until I found a sentiment that I wanted to use. In this case, it was some sentiments from Paper Tray ink, and I'll show you those in a minute. The sentiment set that I'm using is this. It was a release a couple months ago, I think, and this is the Counting My Blessings mini, and this was a very inexpensive. It was only $5. It was a great stamp set, and it coordinates with this thin metal die. And it says Grateful. So we're going to use those. I'm going to be using my archival ink. And then from this Tim Colfe matte pad, I'm going to be using a couple of different papers, which I use them all that were in this set for this project, and we'll get to that more in a little bit. It actually had 3 pieces in this, and I have these scraps left over. So a few of these. That's all I have. Because this is, I'm showing you the card now, but if you head over to my blog tomorrow, you'll see the rest of the project, because I'm doing a little gift for her that will coordinate. So I'm using that, and then I had found this green in my stash that coordinated nicely with this. It's really kind of fall-like, but it's, I don't know, Tiger Lilies, I guess, is actually what it is, which is probably why the Tiger Lily Glimmer Mist goes so well with it. But this green pulls the green out of the background. And then I'm using Vintage Cream cardstock from Paper Tray ink. So what I've done is we're going to start on the inside first, just because I think that will be the easiest way to do it. So what I've done is I have a couple of these scraps left, and I have this really thin green piece to break them up. So I'm going to use my Tombow Mono and just do a very thin line. I don't need a lot of room to write my message. I'm going to obviously write a message. It's not going to take up a ton of room though. And so I want to, you know, pull the inside of the card to match the outside a bit. And actually I'm going to kind of put this probably about there. And there's no measurement on this one. I am just eyeballing it. I know I checked the pieces to make sure that it would be long enough to fit the card. And that's the extent of my measuring on this particular piece. Now in other places I did measure, and I'll give you those. So we'll just put that down there. Then I'll take my ATG and take the other piece here and just very carefully go up just like that. So you can see I'm just barely putting enough green on there so that it just kind of breaks it up. Okay, and then I'm going to put quite a bit of ATG on the back, just like so, and open up the card, and this is going to go right along there, just like that. And then all I need to do, I know none of those edges meet, right? But it's not a big deal because I've got some overhang. So I'm just going to trim it off, and the inside of the card will be done. This little thing that you see on the back is my personal stamp that I put on the back. So there's the inside of the card. How easy is that? And isn't that pretty? It just adds that little extra dimension. So now we're going to work on the outside of the card. Now, if you're head over to my blog or to the 3 Girl Jam challenge blog, and I'll put the link in the description of the video below for both of those places so that you can play along. But in the original challenge, the card was configured this way. There was a strip of paper that goes across here. There was a circle with a scallop around it. Then there was like a sentiment block here, and then some bows and ribbon here. I am completely flipping that on its side, and we're changing the sketch to go this way, and this is the piece that's going to be our main piece. Now I cut this to just barely show a little bit of the paper tray ink. I cut it at 4 1/8 inches wide by 5 3/8 inches tall, but I don't quite want to tape it down because I'll show you why. First I want to put my ribbon on. Now I have 2 pieces of ribbon here, and I decided what I wanted to do. One is the vintage cream, or I'm sorry, the sunflower, the other one is the harvest gold, and my original plan was to kind of twist it just like so. I'm not mailing this card, so dimension's really not a problem. So maybe I will just kind of stick with my original plan there. I think it'll be too much. So we're just going to tape those down. Now I want, the yellow I thought was too much of a contrast just by itself. And so I want to, I'll tape them down one at a time. But I wanted to have the orange so that it wouldn't be too much of a contrast. And I see here that I'm wasting a little bit more than I would prefer because I'm kind of a hoarder with my 3 Girl Jam ribbon. I don't know why. It's not horribly expensive. I just love it so much that the thought of running out before I have time to order it is a bad thing to me. So we'll just tape that down just like so. Then we'll get our second piece, our orange piece, and we'll just go right next to it and add that second color. Flip it over, and again just tape it down just like so. Now obviously this is not archival safe tape. This is just plain old inexpensive Scotch tape. I'm not scrapbooking here. It's not anything that I plan on having around forever. So, and I just am taping it down well enough. Oops, cut my fingernail. I'm taping it down well enough to stick until I could tape it down. And so then we'll stick that right there. So this is what on the original sketch was the bottom what would have been the bottom of the card is now the side of the card, the opening flap. Now Operation Write Home has sketches weekly. They have over 100 sketches on their site, and they have sketches weekly, and that's one thing that I've learned from them. I never would have really messed with a sketch, and honestly I haven't really done that many sketch cards, but that's one thing I learned from them is a sketch is a springboard, and it's up to you to make it your own. And so that's what I'm doing with this. So there we have that. That's really just kind of pretty all by itself, but we are not done. Now the next thing was a strip on the side. Now again, the orientation was like this. I'm turning it like this. Now I had a problem. As you can see, we've got all this green in the middle. That was not my plan, but what happened is I miscounted that, or I mismeasured that when I went to do it, and I didn't have enough paper. So I thought, you know what, I'll cut it off in the middle because what I'm doing instead of the scallop won't show. So this is kind of a little cheater method. If something happens, just like happened for me, that it gets messed up, no problem, just fix it, because none of the screens in the middle is going to show, and unless somebody is picking apart the card, they'll never know the difference. So what I've done for my circle, instead of using a circle, is I pulled out these Prima flowers, and I sprayed them with the mist. Now I sprayed them, and I don't know how well the camera picks it up. It's a very pretty spray, but the middle layer I sprayed a bit heavier, so it would be darker than the two outside layers. And then I pulled a tiny brad to run through them. Now initially, quite frankly, I was going to just put a big brad, but when I laid out my card and realized that it would work to have my Grateful on there, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a teeny tiny brad, and it's going to be covered up so it doesn't have to be fancy. So this is just a little brad I had from my stash, a little gold brad. So that's going to go right there. But before we do, let's get our sentiments stamped. So this is a mix and match sentiment set from Paper Tray Ink, and I chose the words "so very" and then "for all you do." And so let's get those stamped, and you'll see that it doesn't, I know that doesn't make sense by itself, but by the time we get our word grateful in there, it will. Again, I'm using archival ink. You could use whatever color you wanted. You know, if you had like a deep rustic orange, that would be pretty, maybe. But I just wanted that crisp blackness of the archival ink. So we'll just put the "so very" there. And then "for all you do," as you can see, it's been used before and not well cleaned. And I'm going to just center that along the bottom here, just like that. Perfect. So we have "so very" for all you do. And so now let's get our flower wherever I set that. And actually, before I get the flower, I'm going to go ahead and put the tape on the back. I've punched a hole, I pre-punched a hole with my paper piercer there so that the brad can go all the way through, and that will just give that an extra level of being secure. But the brad won't show on the inside because it's it'll be up against this layer. So I'll have to be careful here that I don't set it down, but we'll just put this right through there. Ouch, just like that. And I know that doesn't stand out hugely, but you'll see it still is going to work for us. Okay, so there we have that. And then let's center this just like that. So it says "so very" for all you do. So see, it's coming together here. We're not done yet though. Now I have my word grateful. And this is where the most creative license comes. In the original sketch, I could have done something like this, and then there was a little plate here for your sentiment instead of here and here. But instead of putting the plate, this goes clear across just like that. Now the most challenging part of this for me is going to be figuring out how there's going to be quite a bit of floating here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tombow Mono, and I don't know, I may have just gotten off camera. I apologize if I did. This is going to be pretty fragile, to be quite honest with you. I'm not worried about it because, again, I'm not mailing this card, but it will still be pretty. It's just going, and of course fragile usually is pretty. It's just making sure that it gets where it needs to go safely, just like that. Now I put that down there, and there's no glue on it. I don't really, that's just going to end up hanging free there just like that, because I don't really want to tack it down. Well, I could, I guess just like that, I could tack it down a little bit. That'll make it a little more stable. So now it says "so very grateful for all you do." Now I'm going to take the final step, and we're going to make a couple more bows, and Typically I would use the bow maker to do this, but I think I want to actually pop this up just like that. And you know, I don't think I'm even going to make a bow. I think I'm going to just tie a knot. Just like that. I'm not a good knot. I'm going to assume it's kind of like a square knot. Let's, actually we're just going to go just like that. Pull that taut and trim that off. Trim that off. And there's one. It kind of pulls that over a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Up above to match the sketch. And if you see what that's doing is it's giving my bottom ribbon a little bit of dimension and depth so that it can support that end of the fold. It makes it stand up a little bit better. And so it's kind of makes it look less compressed down. Just like that. And that is going to be just like that. So there we have it. So very grateful for all you do. And this, like I said, is for somebody that's very special, that's retiring. And I think there's one more thing I'm going to do. I think I can get away with. I have this little piece of foam tape here. I'm actually going to cut it in half and layer it. And I think it will hide under there well enough, but also it will give that ribbon base a little bit more support. And get it apart. There we go. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Let's slide this up a little bit. Slide my knot up. Play with it a little bit more in a bit. Actually, I'm just going to even clip that down a little bit more. That one down a little more. And there we have it. All done. So thanks for stopping by today. Be sure to check out the blog tomorrow. Now it will not be on Facebook. I'm sorry, on YouTube, but for the rest of the project that shows exactly everything that I made for my friend Betty who's retiring. So thanks for stopping by today and have a great day. Remember to take some time to enjoy the little things.